What's up, everybody, and welcome to season 2 of What's Up, Bri. I am so happy to be back and being able to talk to you guys. So, you know that this is a podcast where we talk about love, friendship, and everything in between. So, tonight we're going to start the season off talking about something that a lot of people don't like to talk about in public. They're the conversations that you have with your friends, your family, even your coworkers, but it gets real touchy when it's brought to the public eye. We are talking about race tonight. I feel like the past 2 years, there's been a lot going on with the Black Lives Matter movement and racism in general, where there's systematic racism, police brutality. So much has been going on within our backdoor community. And I kind of feel like maybe we've lost our touch a little bit. We were protesting last year, we were marching, we were making noise, and it kind of seems as if it slowed down and things are still happening to where we as a race are being treated as if we do not matter, and we actually do. So I think it's time to talk about it, put it back out there, get back going with making sure that everybody knows that Black people matter. So, with What's Up, Bri, I like to do polls and questions because I like to get everybody's opinion. So, something that's really big that has been going on lately is the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Um, when it happened, especially in Kenosha, right next door to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it was a big upstore for us. Um, went across city lines with a gun, underage, and killed 3 people. And it was a little bit weird because this was when all the riots were going on, and a lot of people felt as if maybe it didn't matter as much because he did not kill a minority race. But in my eyes, it's like, okay, he didn't kill a minority race, but they were out there rioting and protesting on our behalf. So, how does it make you feel to know that he got off? No charges were charged against him. He walks away as a free man. So that was one of the first questions that I wanted to ask my followers on Instagram. How did it make you feel? Somebody said, sick to my stomach, the fact that he didn't get a reckless endangerment charge or anything. That is a charge that I really feel as if he should have gotten, because the way that I'm looking at the situation is you got out of your bed and decided to go somewhere you don't live there and bring a gun, an AR-15 at that. To me, you have intentions on using it. You have intentions on causing harm to another person. So it was kind of weird to me that at least that charge was not pressed against him, but we all know how that goes. Somebody else said prosecution was weak, which I totally agree on. They didn't come with enough facts. They didn't fight hard enough. And I also don't care about white on white crime, which is true. I heard that from a couple people as well. It was one of those things to where they felt like, hey, it wasn't about us, so it really doesn't matter. When it comes to the prosecution, one thing that I realized about law in general and law itself, that situation at that time, he was not sexually assaulting anybody. He was actually trying to assist with what was going on as far as protesting to help our race. puffing up racism. He's making people think and believe that he stands for something, and then he's going to renege right when he gets in office. So that doesn't matter. Honestly, it was expected, so I really didn't feel much and typical. Kind of everybody has it's actually disgusting. It's disheartening, but I am kind of glad that his school is trying to kick him out. Um, if we couldn't get justice in court, he still has to live life every day and deal with the backlash for what he did. He has to face his actions. He can get on TV and smile and laugh and do interviews and act as if it's not affecting him. I'm almost positive it is. His life is going to be turned upside down. So that's something that he's going to have to live with. And speaking of that situation in Kenosha, I know a lot of things have been going on about Crystal Kaiser. Let me make sure I got her name right. She actually ended up killing her sex trafficker. And a lot of people are confused because she is in Kenosha as well. And she is awaiting charges to see if she's going to actually win her case. And a lot of people want her to get acquitted. I feel like she should too. She was 17 when it happened. If somebody is sexually trafficking me and I get sick of it, that's somebody controlling your mind, controlling your body. I'm pretty sure he was physically abusive to her. And the fact that it's a question on whether or not a child should be charged in a situation to where an adult has taken advantage, has used you, has abused you, is sick. But of course, because the color of her skin is not white, they're going to put her through the ringer. I'm really hoping that as long as people continue to bring her case to light and make notice of it, that things can change and she will get acquitted. I really don't think it even deserves a trial. Let it go at this point. Another question that I wanted to ask: do you feel like the verdict would have been different if he killed African Americans? 71% said no, 29% said yes. I'm a part of the 71%. I don't think it would have been different. I think he still would have got off. Again, like I stated before, if that's what the government wants to happen, if the judge wants him to get acquitted, just look at the case that itself. When have you ever seen somebody to be able to blindly handpick their own jury? It just does not happen. It's kind of like the judge was biased. He had his mind made up. He didn't feel like that he did anything wrong, and that's how he was able to get off. Another question that I wanted to ask: have you personally encountered racism? 89% said yes, 11% said no. I am definitely a part of the 89%. To give you guys a little short story, I stayed in the downtown area for about 3 years. Mind you, it was me and one other African American woman that stayed in that apartment. I even made a post about it on Instagram. I was excited. She was an architect, and she was like, "I'm just so glad to see somebody else of color in the building, especially a woman. I've been living here for years. I have not seen anybody." So we're going into my second to last year. There's an older guy. We had garbage chutes on our floor. So something was wrong with our chute. I'm assuming maybe somebody got something stuck down there. And so I could not take out my trash. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if my chute doesn't work, let me just go downstairs and see if I can go to the first door. So I go to the first door. Mind you, I walk around the building all the time. I've been there for 2 years now. The guy is standing in front of the door, literally blocking it. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And in my head, I'm thinking, well, I have garbage in my hand. I have house shoes on. I'm guessing I'm taking out my trash. I said, I'm trying to get to the garbage chute. Can you get out of the way? And he was like, well, do you live in the building? Even if I don't physically live here, I have access to the building. Clearly, I'm not in street clothes. Why are you blocking the door? I said, yeah, I do live here. Actually, the garbage chute is down on our floor. Can you please move? He literally stood in front of the door and did not let me take my trash out. That was our first encounter with each other. At that point, it was about race because somebody else came to let go through. I don't know if they lived on that floor or not. He moved right out of the way. I ended up reaching out to my property people, telling them about the incident. Of course, they apologized, said that they would speak to him about it. They knew exactly who he was, whatever. Second instance, we had a garage. So I'm pulling out of the garage. I park right in front of the apartment complex. Now, I'll be honest, the back of my vehicle was blocking the garage entrance a little bit, but you still had enough room. All you had to do was go around. This man decided to sit there and blow his horn. You need to get out of the fucking way. You can't block this. You don't own the whole property. What's wrong with you people? And then that confirmed again that it was about race. What do you mean by you people? So you know what I did? I sat there, rolled my window down and laughed and made him go around. I did get a little petty because the next time that I saw him, I was actually walking out of the door and I closed the door on his dog. You know how white people are about their dogs. So that was my little way of getting back. Like, you want to be funny? I'm going to be funny with you too. So that was one of the instances to where I experienced racism. And it was kind of disheartening, living somewhere and being comfortable in your home and somebody making you feel like you're not supposed to be there or you don't belong. I pay the same amount as rent as you do. I obviously have good enough credit to be here. Why try to single me out? Why try to make me feel bad? And that's one thing that I do not like when it comes to racism, because it's always about being superior. I'm better than, I'm above, you're bottom of the barrel, you don't belong. We're all human. We all bleed the same. So I wanted to ask people, if you've experienced racism, do you mind giving some examples? So somebody said, was me and they illegally arrested me and my BFF at the time. We threatened to get, wait a minute, I think this one a little bit backwards. Okay. When I attended Whitewater, the word nigga was written on my daughter's dad's card. Whoa. Okay. Hmm. Somebody said walking and stopped by the cops for no reason, which of course is always happening. First time when I moved down south when I was 10, white man called me the N word. Girl, I was followed around a store basically. I definitely see that happen a lot, especially when you go into stores that they may feel as if African Americans may not shop. Um, and it's weird to me because it's like fashion is fashion. If we want to be honest and very perfectly clear here, we are fashion. We create fashion. A lot of these trends that these big stylists and brands are making huge money from, they got it from us. So black people create the trend and they follow the trend. But of course, they want to act like we don't belong. So kind of sad, but whatever. One thing that I wanted to ask as well, do you feel like Wisconsin is segregated? 96% said yes, 4% said no. I'm going to be quite honest, it is. And if you can't see the segregation in Wisconsin, your eyes are not open. Think about it. The way that they're trying to push everybody out of the downtown area, they're jacking up rent. Rent for a one bedroom apartment, if you want to be downtown at this point, is about $1,700 per month. If we want to be honest, if you want something nice, if you don't want to be in a hole in the wall, you're going to be paying that amount. What they're trying to do is push other races downtown and pushing us into the north side. As you can see, even with our streets, we're paying tax dollars. Fond du Lac is fucked up. It's never going to be fixed. Potholes everywhere. And think about what's going on in our backyard. I'm just confused as to how they're allowing African American kids to steal vehicles and they are not being reprimanded, charged, or nothing is being done. I had a discussion with my friend about this. They're only telling them, okay, we're going to arrest you, let your parents pick you up and send you back home. Have you ever thought as to why? They're not in Wauwatosa stealing cars. They're not in Waukesha stealing cars. They're not in Racine stealing cars. They're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin stealing the cars. They're tearing up our own shit, which is what they want us to do. They want us to shit in our own back door. If you're gonna steal cars, which I don't suggest because people work hard for their stuff, go do it in Waukesha or Racine. Why are you taking from your own kind? Why are you taking from your own race? Why are you making it harder for us to already get ahead? It's a shame that people bought cars and probably can't get out of their leases, can't get out of financing that they have, or they're in an upside down loan and they have to worry about their car being stolen. They have to take extra precautions with putting clubs or not even leaving the house or having to ask their friends, hey, if I want to go out for a drink, can you drive tonight? I'm afraid my Kia or my Honda is going to be stolen. I don't think that's fair. But again, because they're not doing it in other cities to where it's predominantly white or another race, they don't care. Go ahead, steal the cars, joyride, get in a car accident, kill yourself or somebody else, just kill each other off. That's what they want us to do. They've been doing it for years. And to be honest, they are successful at it because we are standing in our own way. We have to start to realize that it starts first within our own community. Yes, we are going to talk about race. Yes, the system is not fair. Yes, it is set up for us to fail. But what are we doing contributing to it and allowing it to continue? You got to look at that as well. Another question that I wanted to ask, growing up as a child, did you ever want to be a different race? I think I've seen this a lot, especially when it comes to therapists, when they do the baby doll reenactment is what they call. And they ask little girls, well, what doll do you feel like is better? And of course, from what we've seen, they always go to the lighter skinned doll. Um, that's something that I feel like we as a race also contribute to. There's a lot of colorism within our own race. Dark skin versus light skin. It's been going on for a very long time. It needs to stop at this point. It shouldn't matter if your skin is fair as a pencil or as dark as night. Beautiful is beautiful, and everybody's definition of beauty, it's what you decide it is. But once you push it out there and you make it seem like, oh, it's beauty because of this, that's where the problem comes in at. We're hating ourselves, we're making ourselves seem as if we need to be different. Um, and to me, it's kind of sick. Like, you don't need to. Everybody is beautiful in their own way. Another thing that I wanted to ask was, do you feel as if it's hard to trust your coworkers who may be of another race? 71% said yes, and 29% said no. I'm really sketchy about coworkers even to begin with, to be totally honest. And the only reason is because when you're at work, of course, you're 9 times out of 10 at work more than you're at home. People will act as if they care, but if it come down to it, if it has to be you or them, it's always going to be them. They're not going to lose their job for you. They're not going to lose their income for you. They're not going to stick their neck out for you. One thing that I have noticed, I wouldn't say I can't trust my coworkers, but it does seem in most corporations and businesses, of course, the workers are of minority, and then the higher up are like the CEOs and things of that nature. They are of different races, unfortunately. And that's one of the 7 things that they show is systematic racism, which we'll get to a little bit later. So I'm a part of the 71%. I agree. Yes, I kind of don't trust my coworkers at work, but it really don't matter about race either. I don't trust people in general. Another thing that I wanted to ask, do you allow your friends of another race to use the word nigga? And be honest. I feel like this is super big. You've seen the videos on Instagram to where rappers call people on stage and their fans are rapping their lyrics and they purposely and intentionally want to see if they're going to use the N word. 11% said yes. 89% said no. I'm sorry. If you are not African American, you not using the word nigga around me. Even if you mix, I just feel like it's not appropriate. I don't care. It's not appropriate. You can say I'm tripping or not. It's just not. And I understand that it was a word that we kind of flipped, of course, because it's the ER or the A. And it's like, okay, well, we used it and flipped it to something else. But that's to our discretion. That's our right. I feel like when other people use it, I don't care if they're not racist. They're laughing in the back of their head. That's just how I feel about it. You shouldn't say it. Don't do it. To those of you that do allow your friends to do it, you're a little sketchy. I ain't gonna lie. Another question that I wanted to ask, did you personally participate in the Black Lives Matter protest last year? 48% said yes, 52% said no. I will be totally honest, I did not. I had a lot going on last year. I was not really concerned with the movement, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the episode, because I needed to figure out how I can contribute. I'm never going to call somebody else out and not call myself out first. It's something to where, again, I feel like we're all sitting on, we're not paying attention to, we're letting it die down. The only time we want to speak up and stand up is when something is actually happening. We can protest with George Floyd. We can protest with Breonna Taylor. We can protest with Ahmaud Arbery. But it's like, if they're not killing us, we have nothing to say anymore. You got to think back to when our ancestors and the people before us, Martin Luther King, of course, Malcolm X, he's on my shirt. The fight never stopped. They didn't just protest when things were going on. It was a 24/7 thing. And that's kind of what we need to get into in our age group. I feel like we only speak up when it's happening. Because, of course, our age group follows trends. That's what social media is kind of deterring us from. Instead of doing things consistently, it's only when it's big or when it's happening. And I feel like we really, really, really need to work on staying consistent with it. Because I'm not going to lie, when we were out there protesting, other races were really, really terrified of us. You don't know how many times I was walking through my building or even out and about. Hey, good morning, and smiling. And it's like, okay, you guys don't speak as much any other time, or compliments just coming from any and everywhere, because we made them aware. We're not going to stand back. We're not going to allow you to continue to kill us, especially not on camera. They're not doing it how they used to do back then, where they're coming into our homes and kidnapping us and lynching us and just leaving us to be found in the morning. They're literally doing this on camera. People that are meant to protect and serve are killing us, and they're getting away with it. So I feel like as long as we continue to stand up and speak up, they'll learn eventually it has to stop. So 52% that said no, you got to change that. I'm trying to change right now. We gotta help our race. The 48% said yes. I'm pretty sure it took a lot out of you, because that is something that's scary. I feel like a lot of people probably were worried about maybe how it was going to look on social media if they were protesting. Was it going to affect their day-to-day life? Were they going to get injured or hurt or arrested? And that unfortunately is a reality that we have to face as a race. It may come down to going to jail. It may come down to us getting injured. It may even come down to us getting backlash, losing some friends, or having those hard conversations. But what's more important to you? Respect, or just sitting back and just kind of letting it go on? What if that was your brother, your mom, your sister that unfortunately experienced racism or even lost their life because of the color of their skin? Don't wait until a situation like that happens to decide to speak up and stand up. Another question that I wanted to ask: what do you think it will take to end racism? And it's just a hypothetical question because, to be honest, racism has been around for so long. I don't think it will completely end, but I feel like we have the availability to get laws in place and to get things set up to where if it does happen at this point, it shouldn't be a question of let's go to trial, let's decide on whether or not this was a racial act or whether or not this person should be prosecuted. Let's make it a no-brainer. Somebody said more people of color in powerful positions who refuse to tolerate racism. I definitely agree with that. I feel like, of course, you can't make anybody go to school for something, but we do honestly need more judges. We do honestly need more lawyers. We do honestly need more politicians, because that's where the change can actually start. We need lawmakers out there that can assist us in giving us a voice in the White House or in Madison for Wisconsin, to where they can make laws to where the shit can stop at this point. Somebody said revolution and bloodshed in the worst way. Again, you see what our ancestors had to go through. Unfortunately, they did have to shed blood. Unfortunately, they did have to lose their lives. They did have to get their homes burnt down in order for there to be a revolution. But if we sit back and we're quiet and we're not saying anything, it's not going to stop. Somebody said racism will never end. Somebody also said, I honestly feel like nothing will ever end racism. Racists feel superior to those of other races, of course. If all people of the same color have their own planet, I can see it. Accountability, that's really big. Holding every race accountable for their actions and get the same treatment. And I feel like that's big too. Like, just make it fair all across the board. It shouldn't be a question. I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be a little bit off, to where there was a situation that happened to where Asians, I think, were targeted, and they had a bill like 2 weeks later. Like, damn, we've been fighting racism for hundreds of years. Something happens to them in 2 weeks, you get a bill made. So I don't know. We're being ignored. I'm tired personally of being ignored. I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of being ignored, and it just needs to stop. So, you guys know I like to fact check. I do not like to speak on things if I do not know personally or have facts behind them. So there is something that's called the 7 ways we know systematic racism is real. It's a really good article. If you Google exactly what it says, you'll be able to find it. And it says racism at every level of society. Racism of this kind, racism that infects the very structure of our society, is called systematic racism, for those that you don't know. And at first glance, it may be difficult to detect. So, one of the ways that they kind of break it down, so one of the 7 ways is wealth. 77% of the population's wealth is held by white families. That pretty much says it all. So if you think about all the people in the world, 77% of the wealth belongs to Caucasians. And as far as black families, 2.3% of wealth is held by us. You know how many black people I know? Like, that's ridiculous at this point. And I feel like we are getting better. The people that I follow personally on social media, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, especially young ones. And that's another thing that I like to see. A lot of young teens are definitely starting their businesses from high school, which I feel like is the best way to go about it. That's when you know the most people, you're gonna have the most friends, you're gonna be able to put yourself out there, and they're growing their businesses from the ground up from then to now. That's something that I feel like is really great to see. I love to see it because I feel like if you start young, when you get a little bit older, you'll be able to sit back and chill. But yeah, I mean, look at it like that. So they said for every $100 white families earn in income, black families earn just $57.30. So they're getting double what we're making to do the same thing. So that's one of the ways. Another one is education, which I think we all know that. I say it all the time. NPS really needs a revamp. I don't know what it's going to take. The textbook books are old. They're not paying the teachers enough. I always say that if you are a teacher, I respect and I admire you because you're not just a teacher at this point. You're a counselor. Sometimes you're a mom or a brother and you don't even know. Our kids are hurting. They're not wanting to go to school. They're dealing with so much stuff outside of that, that school is a non-factor to them. But education is really, really big. Black students are 3 times more than likely than white students to be suspended for the same infractions, which is definitely true. You got to think about it. A white kid at school can kind of curse in class or maybe even skip class or speak out of turn. They're going to always get a warning. You're African American and you do it, you automatically get suspended and sent home for days. It's ridiculous. They don't want you to be at school. They want you to be able to fail. They want you to flunk. They don't want you to have an education. Also, blacks make up 13% of the general population and 40% of the prison population. So almost half of our race is in prison. So that's another thing too. And it's weird to me because some of the smartest people that I know have been to jail. And have you ever thought 40% of our race is locked up, but in jail, they have access to books. They have access to computers. So that way they're able to learn. So their mind is growing. They're learning things. They're very intelligent. They learn how to write. Maybe if they didn't, they're able to get their high school diploma in jail. Maybe if they didn't finish, they're able to pick up trades. So they're able to earn all these skills, but their body is physically locked up to where they're not able to come out and apply what they're learning. And even when they are released, because they now have that record, they can't do shit with it. It's that much harder for them to kind of get through life. So that's another thing. I can learn while I'm in jail, but outside of that, I don't have access to books. I don't have access to computers. So think about that a little bit. Somebody said housing. When the government sought to make mortgages more affordable back in 1930s, thereby jumpstarting the suburban living area, the Homeowners Loan Corporation, and therefore private banks, ranked neighborhoods all around the country, giving high marks to all white neighborhoods and marketing those with minorities in red as risky investments. That was definitely big as far as blockbusting, redlining. I know you may not know some of these terms, but you can definitely Google them, to where they were even doing high market loans. So even if you did have a good job, because of course there were doctors and lawyers back then, they may give you a mortgage, but they're going to give you an APR of about 29%. So you're going to be in an upside down loan, not going to be able to ever pay your mortgage off pretty much. Another thing is surveillance. Of course, we know this police brutality. You can be driving in your car. If the police officer looks and they feel like you're out of place or you don't belong, you're getting pulled over. You're not being asked normal questions. Hey, why did you pull me over? It doesn't matter. Give me your license, or can you step out of the car? It's always something extra. It's never the normal. Healthcare is really, 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 really big. I remember I had a primary doctor and we were talking about birth control, and she was very honest with me. She said it's not for African American women, it's actually killing you. And I had to think about it. I tried so many different birth controls. I tried the regular pill, I tried IUD. I think that's what IUD, whatever. I tried that and it was giving me headaches. It was making my hair fall out. It was making me moody. And as a female, I'm already moody. I don't need to be any more moody than what I already am. And that's when she explained it's not set up for our body. Of course, nobody wants to keep having 50 million kids or things of that nature or getting pregnant, but that's why condoms, the pull out method does work. Trust me, I'm 30 years strong with the pull out. But yeah, healthcare, and a lot of our women are dying while giving birth. The doctors are not listening to us when we're saying we're having aches, we're having pain, something is not right. They're ignoring us. They feel as if, well, they don't know what they're talking about. Our body is speaking to us, but because of the color of our skin, what we're saying is not, it's not processing in their mind. They think they know better. I'm the one with the degree. I'm the superior race. What are you even talking about? And we're dying, unfortunately. We're not getting proper health care. They're making healthcare unachievable and unattainable at this point. And it's sad. So those are the 7 ways. And again, you can just look it up. The 7 ways that we know systematic racism is real. It's there, it's in your face. You can no longer ignore it. And I feel like even with your friends of other races, make them come in on the topic. Don't let them sit back. If they're really your friends and they care about you and they support you and things that you do, they need to speak up too. Don't allow them to be quiet. Don't allow them to sit back, because if they care, again, they will step in for the cause. There's so much more going on. I know us as a race feel like we have a win with the Ahmaud Arbery case. The men did get convicted. I am happy about that, but in my mind, all I can think of is what's next. What's going to happen next? I'm not easily settled at the fact that the Breonna Taylor case has not even went to trial. I feel like that was murder. I don't care how they try to play it. It was murder. She did not deserve to die. They can try to give their family, I think, a $12 million lawsuit is what they're willing to pay for wrongfully death. But money does not bring a life back. And money is not also accountability. Somebody needs to be held accountable for what happened. I know they changed it to where now they are not allowed to do the no lock warrant. So they cannot just kind of bust in the door. They have to announce themselves and give people the opportunity to open the door. But I don't even think that's enough at this point. Um, they gave George Floyd a statue that was ended up being defamed. Somebody ended up just scratching the gold off of it. And it's like things like that, to where we feel as if, oh, okay, they gave him a statue and then somebody defaced it. So it's like, is that really a win for us as a community? Is that really a win for us as a race? Is that something that we really should be proud of? I don't think we should. Again, I am working as myself with getting out there and trying to do more, as far as helping us as a race. I'm not going to sit back anymore. I hope you guys don't sit back anymore. Hopefully, this episode can kind of get your minds going a little bit so you can Google and look up some stuff yourself. The Black Lives Matter movement is still out there. There are people that are still protesting. There are campaigns that's going on right now. There are also petitions that you can sign for things to kind of move forward. But we got to do something more. What that is, I'm not exactly sure of it yet. How it's going to be done, I'm not exactly sure of that yet, but I'm not going to stop talking about it until something changes. So that is all I have for tonight. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in and taking the time to listen. And that is all I have. So thank you for tuning in to What's Up, Bri. We will be back next week and we're going to talk about Black girl luxury. Okay. That's what the next episode is going to be. So thank you for tuning in and have a good night.